4-8. Once again, they kicked our ass. 9 years in a row they've beaten us. That was a totally different Florida team, and I'm not making excuses here. I'm just stating facts. We injured Jeff Driscoll. We injured, I think, a couple of more of their players, and after that, their season just kind of fell apart. I mean, they lost the Georgia Southern, for Christ's sake. I mean, still yet they had the juice to beat us, so that's a team that I can't. I vowed last year that I would never talk smack about Florida again, and until we beat them. Driscoll's back this year. They've got Kurt Roper down there as their offensive coordinator, a guy that I think is going to make a world of difference for that offense. I think you're going to see a totally different offense with Florida this year. Yeah, they'll probably have their struggles early. Most do when you have a new offensive coordinator. But I think Roper's the real deal. And I think I'm not going to anoint Jeff Driscoll some great quarterback because obviously to this point he hasn't been. But he's shown flashes. He's shown to be and proven to be a great quarterback when he plays from the shotgun. And that's the way a Kurt Roper offense is ran. So I think you're going to see a totally different Florida team this year. I actually put them up there as a challenger for the SEC East. I'm going to give it to South Carolina, Florida, and I'll even throw Georgia in there as a challenger for the East. You really kind of have to. It'll be between those three teams. And, of course, Florida will bring back another great defense. They just keep reloading on defense. Your thoughts?
Like you said, Jeff Driscoll, Kurt Roper, two big names. Defensively, there's not much to say. They're going to be stacked again. They're going to be good again. The question is their offense can gel together and help them win some football games. And like you said, you can't really talk smack about Florida. They beat us 9 years in a row. And I've told people this all the time. If I could predict the future, if I could just see ahead and I see that Florida finished the season 1-11, I'd still be scared to death that one win was against us. And I hate to say that. But, I mean, it's just true. But
yeah,
Jeff Driscoll has a lot of potential. From what I hear, he's also a really good baseball player. But if he can just stay in the pocket, not get hurt, sling the ball up and down the field, with Kurt Roper and the new offense, man, they're going to be a scary, scary team. And I think it pretty much all depends on how good Driscoll plays. And if he doesn't come out and play good, then we're going to say goodbye to Muschamp, and who knows who they bring in after that. But hopefully, whatever happens, we can finally beat them this year. I'd hate to have, double-digit losses to them in a row.
Yeah, one thing that a lot of people talk about when they talk about the Tennessee-Florida rivalry is that, one, it's no longer a rivalry. Well, that's horseshit. We all know better than that. But they say that Florida is in Tennessee's head. And I think Florida is in the Tennessee fans' heads. You can just listen to the way me and Carter are talking about them and tell that, there's a stigma with the Florida Gators. But I don't think there might be a handful of Tennessee players that maybe have some kind of mental block against Florida. But, half of our roster is half or more, I think, is freshmen and sophomore. Our coaching staff, it's their second year coaching in the SEC. I don't think any of those guys in Knoxville have any kind of stigma or fear of Florida whatsoever. Now, you go back to the former era, and I firmly believe that Spurrier and Florida was in Fulmer's head. There's really no way to argue that. You take the 9-game winning streak and put it aside, and they've still beaten us. I don't know what the exact number is, but it's a bunch. It's a bunch of Florida wins to very few Tennessee wins in the last 24 years since 1990. And it's time for that to change. Hopefully this year will be the year that we turn the corner. One thing as Tennessee fans we haven't seen a lot of are long streaks. And I hate to do this, but I give Magnum and Uncle Lou credit for their knowledge of some of the Tennessee statistics and the teams that we've lost to in streaks. which, that kind of tells you that they're always thinking about us, but they're right. We have losing streaks to more teams now than I can ever remember in my life. And I've seen an 11-game Alabama losing streak. I've seen a 9-game winless Alabama streak. I've seen some pretty nasty streaks, but nothing like this one. Even with Alabama, back when we had lost 8 in a row and tied 1, at least every year there was hope. You thought going into that game that Tennessee had a chance to actually pull the upset. But with Florida lately, it's been a foregone conclusion that when those two line up, something's going to happen and we're going to lose. Even Tyler Braves last year, a year that there's no way we should have lost to that team. How in the hell we lost to Florida that year is beyond me. To me, that was even more surprising than last year. Last year we sent basically a deaf, dumb, and blind redshirt freshman into the gauntlet. So last year doesn't really surprise me that much. That's my little fluff on the Florida Gators. We're going to move along now. We've got 2 teams from the East we want to talk about. We're going to keep it in Alabama and get rid of those 2 teams first. The Alabama Crimson Tide, the self-proclaimed kings of college football right now. I'm a little bit, I'm not going to say concerned, because if they lost every game from now to the end of time, it wouldn't bother me a bit. But I'm a little bit concerned for some of the Alabama fans that really aren't aware of what could possibly happen to that team this year. If the Coker kid doesn't come in and take over and, pretty much be Jameis Winston, Alabama could be in trouble this year. And, by in trouble, I say they could lose 3 or 4 games. A lot of teams that they play on their schedule this year, they could just line up and hand the ball off and win easily. But there's going to be a handful of games where they're going to have a passing game. They're going to have a quarterback back there that can actually run the offense and make decisions on the field. I'm not ready to give the West to Alabama this year. Carter, what do you think about the Crimson Tards?
Well, how Alabama fans are, man. We don't rebuild, we reload every year. Which, whatever. I mean, yeah, you still got Yeldon, you still got Cooper, but like I said, your quarterback situation, man, big question mark. You're going to put in Jake Coker. And the big thing was, well, he was almost the starter at Florida State in front of Heisman Trophy winner Jameis. Well, guess what? He wasn't the starter. So that's stupid. But if he doesn't pan out, I mean, they still got some guys. One guy I was really thinking that was going to be the starter, and I'm still shocked that he's not, was Cooper Bateman. He's a freshman, but I think he's from Utah. But I've seen some of his high school footage, man, and he looks real good. But, I guess they feel more comfortable with Jake Coker. But, we'll see. Defensively, stacked. Everywhere besides quarterback, stacked. They got great coaching. They're either going to be a team that wins the West, maybe wins the national championship, or they're going to fall right on their face and win 9, maybe 8 games, depending on their QB situation.
Here's hoping for an 8-game win and then 8-win season for Alabama this year. Well, let's just go ahead and discuss the elephant in the room as far as the Crimson Tide goes, no pun intended. That man is back in the SEC, Carter. Alabama chose to hire one Mr. Man that shall not be named by me as their offensive coordinator. Hell, it's Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is back in the SEC, coaching for our arch enemy. How does that suit you?
It suits me terrible, because I hate to see what's going to happen to him when he comes out here.
Well, I mean, I don't think anything's going to happen when he comes out here, because he'll have, he's not going to have armed guards, of course, but he will have so much security around him that it'll look like the presidential motorcade coming to town when he gets here. So any idiot Tennessee fan out there that had hopes and dreams of putting their hands on Lane Kiffin, it's not going to happen. Let's be realistic. But now, you can't choke him and you can't punch him, but there's no rule anywhere that says you can't throw every cuss word at him. Anything you want to do like that, you certainly have my blessing. I love Lane Kiffin. You know, he's one of my favorite coaches, and it is my hope that he goes to Alabama and lasts about 12 games and gets fired, like most of his tenures everywhere. Honestly speaking, though, Carter, I think Lane Kiffin, and it kills me to say this, I think he's going to be an asset to the program. You know, I don't think Nick Saban had Tennessee in mind whatsoever when he hired Lane Kiffin. You know, a lot of people wanted to say, well, that bastard just hired him to get at Tennessee. What's he got to get at Tennessee for? He's kicked their ass for the last 6 years. You know, there's no, I can't see there being any animosity. And it's certainly not going to be enough to make him hire a coach on a stupid decision like that. Sounds like we've got a caller. Caller, who are you, and what do you want to say?
Yeah, hey, calling in from Miami, Florida.
All right, what's on your mind?
So my mind is, what are we going to do with these volunteers this year? You think they might do something? They didn't do much last year.
Well, they ain't done much the last few years. We just have to wait and see. What do you think's going to happen?
Oh, I don't know. I think when they go up against the University of Miami, they're going to have a hell of a time. They might be going to have some rough times with Carolina and all them, too.
I'm just trying to figure out who this is that's called and changed their voice.
No, I'm not changing.
No. We'll figure it out.
Huh?
What do you think? What are your Canes going to do this year?
I think the Canes are going to go at least 9-0 for 9. They're going to take at least 9 games this year.
Oh, okay.
I think they're going to take the NCAA championship, too.
That can happen.
Y'all should win the Coastal. I mean, there's no excuse this year. Y'all should definitely win it.
There's no excuse for Tennessee. I mean, you got all kind of volunteers. You should be able to kind of get a halfway decent team out of them.
Yeah, well, we'll see. You know, it's only football. We really don't care what happens up here. We're not crazed lunatics about our football like you guys are down in Miami.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear about that, you know.
Yeah, it's, you know, we kind of like to put things in perspective up here. You know, there's way more important things in life than football.
Yeah. Wait till deer season, right?
There you go. Deer season.
Yeah, whenever hunting season comes in, that's when you really take charge.
That's right. Don't forget about our love for sheep up here. That's a big stereotype. Big stereotype about Tennesseans, you know.
All right, buddy. I just want to call in and see what y'all think y'all going to do this year.
We appreciate the call. Best of luck on the Hurricanes going 9-0, and maybe you guys will get those 9 wins. Best of luck to you.
I hope we go 9, and best of luck to Tennessee this year, because I hope they do a lot better than they did the past 2 years.
Well, it's not looking good, my friend. You know, if you listen to all the so-called experts that make these predictions, say that, you know, 4-8 and 5-7's in our future. And all joking aside, honestly, we could go 5-7 or 6-6 this year. But Butch Jones is building the foundation brick by brick, vol by vol. So it's coming along beautifully.
Well, I hope so. I hope you start recruiting some decent players in there, man. Get some damn people that, you know, instead of getting out there fucking sheep, they might get in there and start playing football.
There you go. We need some of them Florida guys down there.
No, that's Florida guys like bulldogs and women. We don't mess around with sheep, bro.
Well, you know, to each his own. Some like sheep, some like alligators.
Yeah, well, the alligators are my preferred. Somebody holds their mouth shut. I'd rather have one of them. Either that or rattlesnake.
Well, this call has taken an interesting turn.
Yeah, you'll take care now. Maybe I'll get hold of you next time, you're old.
All right, man. Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
You too, man. Bye-bye.
Well, that was interesting, to say the least. We got one more team to talk about. We'll just go ahead and blow right on past Alabama. There's really